That's the thing about life. It can be unpredictable, but your dreams need not be. How far would you go to make your dreams come true? How close are you to reaching those goals set by you? While others focus on a new normal, you focus on a new beginning. Look around for what inspires you. Build your narrative. After all, it's your story to tell. Take a chance. Take a leap. Begin your study abroad journey with us.
Okay, good afternoon, AECC Global friends. How are you doing today? And welcome to our session today, Friday, 12 November 21. My name is Rani. I'm going to be the host for this afternoon session. And with me, we have our guest of honor, Mr. Ivan Sri Theevan, who is a business development executive from University of Europe for Applied Sciences in Germany, a private university which is recognized and state accredited by the German government. So in the next 50 minutes, we are going to have an interactive session about the University of Europe with Ivan. So please please use this very valuable opportunity to put your questions in the chat box, and we will reply to your questions in time, of course. As we have only less than 1 hour now, without further ado, let me pass the screen on to Ivan. Ivan, please, over to you, and tell us about yourself, about University of Europe for Applied Sciences, like how big it is, a bit of the history, the campuses, the ranking. And as we all know, we don't have too many chances to hear about the university in Germany. Over to you,
For sure. Thank you so much, Rani, for the warm introductory. Absolute pleasure to be in the session today to share about incredible opportunities in which are presently available over in this wonderful country, over in Germany. So as shared, I'm part of the University of Europe for Applied Sciences. We are a university which is based in 4 cities across Germany itself. So we are based in Berlin, Hamburg, Iserlohn, and we also have our innovation hub about 25 minutes away out of Berlin. It's called the city of PostStudy. So what's interesting is that the University of Europe for Applied Sciences, it's quite relatively about 21 to 22 years old, around this time. So the institution was established based on the fact that they would like to actually prioritize on ensuring that other than the relative academic education provided within the classroom side, we also want to ensure that the students are well prepared with the relative skills and knowledge in order to succeed and thrive within their career aspirations. So those are essentially the fundamentals and the objectives and even the goals in which we have up until now to provide to our students. So ideally speaking, we offer programs within the fields of business, IT, arts and design, and also sports and event management as well. So we do have programs which are incredibly unique, which aligns with the demands of the market space as well. So moving forward, what we are trying to say is that we want to provide absolute kind of opportunities for students in the fields of basically students who are interested to come over to a country where they like to experience really good culture, really good environment, and at the same time to secure something solid once they have finished their studies or they've graduated before, or in this case, prior to that, securing like something where before they graduate as well. So this again has been something which we truly want to offer to the students over all across globally. So right now we are about 4,500 students coming across over 100 nationalities as well. So we are super proud about it. We are happy and excited because we are one of the most diverse university in Germany itself, and we are seeking to actually increase the numbers as we go along, increase the number of students come from different backgrounds to come to study with us as well. So we have students coming from parts of Europe, parts of Asia, parts of North America, South America as well. So ideally, these are all supported by professors from the relevant industries. So we need to ensure that as an applied science university, it isn't like a conventional university. As an applied science university, we will need to ensure that the education is provided, the classes which are being run, is not so much based on academic wise or theory wise just only. It has to be applicable in real life scenarios and also within your working environment. So this is where we conventionally encourage our students to go for internships. We do have a lot of projects, a lot of workshops, as we work with a lot of companies across Germany. Right now, we are working with about 155 organizations: Tesla, Amazon, Google, Volkswagen, and so forth. So these are the companies in which we're working with. So ideally, we just want our students to get exposed as much as possible so that they are fully equipped to succeed in their respective careers.
Wow, excellent. Sounds very uh, interesting for students to study there. So, with your four campuses, and you were saying you have around about 4,500 students in the whole campus, right? In the whole four campuses. Um, what about the highlight for international students? Like, what is the most popular program for the international students? Excuse my background sound, the thunder and lightning keeps on coming. Hope it doesn't disturb too much. But yeah, what's the most popular program for international students? And about the international students at the moment, do you have quite a big, or not a big pool, I suppose, but do you have a pool of Indonesian students or Southeast Asian students within one of the campuses or among the four campuses that you have?
All right, so I guess like Germany is actually a growing study destination for higher education for a number of international students. So it is been increasing in terms of a preferred study destination over the past few years. And we are going to see a trend where it's going to increase from 10 to 15% average on a yearly basis as well. So these are because of the opportunities presently available, which are offered by respective universities across Germany and including the University of Europe for Applied Sciences as well. So looking in terms of the international student experience over in with us studying with us, ideally, right? Again, it's just folds on in terms of networking with people from all different backgrounds. It's also relatively always constantly engaging with a number of activities outside of classes and also activities in sense of projects and so forth with many students coming from different diversity and so forth. So this creates a holistic community where students can learn from one another, and then they can actually move forward with what they've learned with and apply it within their respective careers and so forth. So other than that, we offer programs within the fields of undergraduate and postgraduate side as well. We do offer our foundation program. It's called the Student College. It's a general foundation year program whereby students who are keen to actually pursue their studies in a public university, they would probably require a qualification, a student college, in order to enroll. So these are the three sites in which we would offer our programs. Amongst these programs, what we have seen is that the most popular ones relatively are in our fields of the business side. So our undergraduate programs, we have our bachelor's in management studies, and also we have a blended kind of program, which is a little bit unique in the sense that it teaches business and also a little bit of IT and tech. So ideally, it's called the Digital Business and Data Sciences as well. So at the same time, we also have an ever-growing popular program called the Software Engineering side. So these are our top 3 undergraduate programs in the business and IT side field, where I would say it's been growing. We are getting like really good interest from students all around globally, and also over in parts of Southeast Asia, including Indonesia as well. So we do have students over from Indonesia studying over in the University of Europe for Applied Sciences already. These students ideally come from different institutes, parts of Europe, and then they join us for their postgraduate studies, or probably they want to just start off fresh with the undergraduate program as well. At the same time, we also have students who have inquired and they have actually confirmed to enroll in the upcoming semesters as well. So, and also previous semesters. So in this case, we are seeing that the demands for it are growing, and part of the reason is because of the programs in which we offer that aligns with not just the German economy's demand, but also the global demand. So if you look at it, you can see that you always keep hearing on the demands for artificial intelligence, software engineers, also data scientists, and so forth. So these are the programs which we offer for students. So this is particularly one of the reasons why I guess that it has been growing in popularity, and more international students, so to speak, are joining in. So that's on our business and IT side. Moving forward to our arts and design, what's interesting about UE is that previously it was 2 separate schools, but it was combined a few years back to be called the University of Europe for Applied Sciences. One of those schools, as in the university itself, it's a popular arts and design school. So we have one of the best kinds of facilities in the fields of photography, film and motion designing, and so forth for students to enjoy and benefit from in the arts and design field. Because of that, and the fact that all our professors who teaches photography, who teaches film and motion designing, or anything relative in the arts and design programs which we offer, they come from really good backgrounds. They're required to have like minimum 15, 20 years of work experience. At the same time, they're considered like mini celebrities, particularly in the photography program, both in the bachelor's and master's, right? We have been getting numerous awards coming in. Recently, one of our students actually won an award. It's kind of like a prestigious award over in Europe as well. They heavily actually value their tradition and the culture and so forth, and also the artistic side in terms of photography. This is where it attracts more and more aspiring students coming from the arts background who want a quality education and who want to study in an environment where they don't just learn the essence of it, but they also can get exposed to a lot of historical backgrounds behind the studies as well. So these are relatively the popular programs which are available over at UE presently at the moment.
Cool. So for Indonesians, apparently a lot of our students will go for either business or IT, obviously. So they can do it at the University of Europe for Applied Sciences. I was just wondering, how do you do your teaching and learning activity at the moment or during the pandemic? Whether it's now it's a normal scheme for the students there, the university there in conducting the teaching and learning, or whether it's still online or hybrid, or how do you basically do it right now?
So ideally, of course, a prior season for the past, I mean, most of the tenure of the year, so to speak, right? It has been pretty much closed in terms of the borders and also our respective countries as well. So it was quite difficult in terms of actually to move about and open the institute to actually coordinate face-to-face learning. So what we did was we moved forward towards a hybrid teaching and then an online teaching. But since things were pretty much closed for the past few months, it was all fully online teaching. Only during late July and early August, things started to open up within the country itself. So this is where we move forward to hybrid learning again, meaning like 1 or 2 times you come to classes, then most of the time you study online. And then right now is pretty much face to face already. So this has been this had been the practice, so to speak, within the university to continue the current semester, to continue the studies. So our lecturers, our team, the student centers, they are well experienced as well over the online side. They know how to keep the students well attentive and also providing the respective kind of support, which usually are provided on the face-to-face side. So ideally right now is that we knew already that in the new norm, probably hybrid side is going to stay. But as we value education coming from not just the physical side, but we also know that you learn even more if you get exposed to a number of entities and avenues in your relative environment, not just online. We aspire to actually want to continue with the face-to-face learning. So that is why we would require our students to come over to the university to study and to finish their course essentially. Currently, it's still run online for students who are unable to attain their visa or the students who are awaiting to come over probably in the next semester or in the coming semester as well. So they do have that flexibility at hand, just that they need to actually come over to the campus to study on physical manner and in order to complete their tertiary education. So this has been what we practice and what we've been doing. Right now, the country is pretty much open for students who are double vaccinated. They can just come over. They do not need to quarantine, and they can just come over and just move forward with their day-to-day things, day-to-day activities, and just go to classes because all our campuses are open already.
Oh, okay, cool. Good to know that it's already open because, I guess some of the parents say that studying abroad is not only studying online, but the most important thing, which is students have to have, is the networking with other, university fellows. And then during the pandemic, or even right now, of course, online is not as easy as we can imagine. What sort of support does the university provide for students if they have to do it online, or if they still do it in a
Right.
hybrid?
That's an excellent question because at the start, ideally, of the pandemic itself, probably late 2019 or early 2020 and so forth, right? A number of universities and institutes had been actually going through the challenge where how do we transition from physical teaching to full on online learning. What's unique about the University of Europe is that they had those platforms presently available already. They had the setup already done prior to COVID as well, which was good and advantageous because they were ideally preparing for hybrid learning, whether it was COVID or no COVID season. It's just that COVID accelerated this, and this henceforth provided a ton of issues and challenges in which a number of universities have to face. Over on our end, we understand because we have a little bit of experience on how do we conduct online classes. Ideally, our professors are prepared for it. They are taught. They have gone through certain kinds of trainings for it and so forth. So since they are well addressed about this, the first thing is that when they conduct live lectures, obviously it has to be recorded and then it's also placed in the platform itself, which we have, whereby the students can log in and access anytime. We encourage the students who are presently over in Germany or probably in the neighboring region or probably anywhere to actually go for the live lecture. We encourage, but we understand that timing is of the essence as well. We have the factor of hours difference and so forth. So this is where we record, we place it over the platform as per usual. But what's more important is the additional kind of support in terms of, for instance, the academic theories of how do you conduct assignment and also the additional tips on how do you succeed in your examinations and so forth. These are all heavily being actually, in a way, added into the platforms. And at the same time, we also practice like an open end kind of engagement, a communication side where students can approach the professors at any point of time to ask questions and so forth. So it isn't as like strict or isn't as like set where okay, but it's only this time where you can actually get connected to the professors or ask questions. So these are just some of the small kinds of supporting things in which we felt that, or we saw it made major differences, because online you would need actually even more support and additional kinds of let's just say academic kinds of contents in order to be added to this platform, to be shared to the students, because as a class, to be honest as well, it's going to be challenging to focus most of the time online. It's a 3 hour class. So it's definitely the challenge over there faced by both the students and also by the lecturers. But we went through this and we understood all about this. So what we did was, after class support is there, always there 24/7. You can approach the professors anytime. They're absolutely friendly to help out. The supporting factors to ensure that you pass your assignments, you pass your projects, and also your examinations, those things are all presently available. So we just relatively did that, and we saw that, yeah, it's been successful. It's been going. Of course, there are challenges for students, in fact, where they can't seem to cope up. And we try our very best, our student center side, and also our admission side, so to speak, as well. We try our very best to actually encourage the student to continue doing, because at the end of the day, we do know that students eventually would need to come to the campus and then experience the face-to-face learning and so forth. So yeah, that has been done prior to this, and those were the supporting keys in terms of providing those kinds of values for the student to continue the semester or to start the semester. Of course, yes, we're not going to lie as well. Just like every other universities too, we have faced the challenges in terms of student probably not want to start their first semester. They would like to wait and defer until things are pretty open. That's absolutely fine, because there are parental concerns, there are also financial concerns, there are also other relative concerns as well. It's absolutely fine. But what we encourage is that do not delay your tertiary education if at all you have the opportunity to continue so, either both online or offline. Because at the end of the day, you will still come and experience the face-to-face learning. So this is what we encourage. That's the best we can do. Right now, since we are pretty much open, now we are just encouraging everybody to just come over, get the full-on experience, learn about, the kinds of future opportunities presently available, get a fantastic degree program, and get a really pure German certification, and then go forth and be successful in your endeavors.
Yeah, I very much agree with you, Ivan. Friends of AECC, do not delay your study program. I mean, if you can do it online, and if you have to do it online, just do it. Rather than waiting for one more year to start off your program. Uh, but Ivan, you were saying that things are getting back to normal. So does it mean that for international students who will be arriving in Germany for studying purposes, they don't need to be quarantined? Of course, they have to have their vaccines, 2 vaccines, 2 shots maybe. But is there any um, certain vaccines that are not acceptable, like in Indonesia, for example? The first vaccines that are available is Sinovac, and not every country accept Sinovac anyway. But just tell us a little bit about the quarantine system, if students have to be quarantined, or the vaccine, how to get into the country, basically.
So I guess this has been a challenge, not just for countries like Germany as well. How do you go about on this? How do you go about with the vaccination you had you as a student you had, and it's not kind of approved or not accepted, so to speak, by the government in the country itself. So ideally, the country pretty much kind of accepts the respective vaccines over, so students are free to come over. If at all there has been a challenge or an issue, there are booster shots which are presently available as well. So in this case, you either can do it in the home country, or you can also do it over there as well, if whenever once you've traveled over, right? So the rules and regulations, unfortunately, on a weekly basis, they keep actually amending, they keep changing in terms of the acceptance and not acceptance and so forth. But ideally, all the vaccinations are currently, let's just say, acknowledged. And once you have double vaccine already, meaning once you have double dose and when you're fully vaccinated, ideally, you can come over to study with us, or you can come over to the country itself to your respective manners, so to speak. It is not a big issue. It's not a huge challenge which I face. It is just that there is a if at all there is like an additional kind of thing required, this is where we can advise as an institute, you know what, get the booster shot and it should be fine. The booster shot, which is recognized over by the government, not just in Germany, but the other respective countries as well. So ideally, do not worry so much about it. The country itself, they are all fully vaccinated already. So things are pretty much like back to like way normal. So we are moving forward in the new norm and so forth. And there shouldn't be anything to be worried about at present, unless you really have like a really bad case of a health issue. So this is where you got to actually be a little bit concerned before even actually studying abroad. Like if you have cases before COVID, so that you got to be very mindful. We also really advise our students that better do the body checkups, get checked, go for the health screen and so forth. And it's not just to come over, it's for your own good as well. At least you will know whether on how do you make better decisions next time, or how do you go about. But overall, nothing to worry about. Come over. If the vaccine is not accepted, do not worry at all. There's the booster shot already in place.
Right. Okay. Now let's talk a little bit about internship. You mentioned a little bit about internship just now at the beginning, right? So how does student go about internship? Is it a mandatory, or is it an option for student first of all? And then how do they get the internship? Will University of Europe assist with finding the internship, or will students have to find it themselves? And whether the rest would be a standard question, whether it's paid or not paid, and
Yep.
all matters that student wants to know about internship.
Yep. So in our programs in which we design in our undergraduate board, also the postgraduate side as well, undergraduate in particular, you would need to go through the internship. The postgraduate, you would not need. It's very much, there's a lot of case studies, there's a lot of project management going on. So you will be, in a way, indirectly working, but not in an internship manner. So, but undergraduate side, we require students to go through 20 weeks of internships. It is highly recommended. I wouldn't say it is mandatory, but I would say that almost all, if not all, of our students want to secure something. If it's not internship, it's a project already, meaning it's work already, basically. So yes, our university, the career center side, and also the student support side, we do actually have have something in place to assist students to find those internships, the positions, the openings which are available across the organizations we partner with. But it's up to the student as an individual to actually approach these companies, approach these organizations, as it is part of the academics teaching and tutoring as well. So we cannot do it on behalf of the student, unfortunately, because it's part of the rules. But we would help the student to assist them to secure something. So that's one. Secondly, is that there are students where they're a little bit, they go out, they try to find on their own, and they manage to get, and that's fine. So yes, we do assist the students. At the same time, some students, they actually find on their own as well. So we have many job portals as well for securing either full-time jobs or even like part-time jobs. Portals are available over there. University has like a network of it to assist. At the same time as well, students, when they go over and once they find out certain places where they can work part-time, ideally, they also can secure something as a form of internship over there too. So these are some of the things in which usually students would do, ideally speaking, for the internship purpose. Yes, you can get paid, but at the same time, please be mindful that it is an arrangement between you and your employer. So whoever you work with, most of the time you do get paid, but there are some where they might not getting paid, or they would directly inform the student that you won't be getting paid. So these are some of the things where student needs to be mindful before making the decision. But anyhow, as well, it doesn't kind of matter in terms of students being paid or not paid, because as long as the internship exposure is there, it clears one part of the education, and they are able to move forward to graduate.
Okay, cool. Thank you so much. So, having heard from you on the explanation, it's not difficult to find an internship because you were saying that almost all the students will do the internship in the undergraduate level. So the undergraduate will be 3 years, right? Like in the UK, and the
Yes.
postgraduate will be 1 year, is it?
So the undergraduate is 3 years, except for one of our unique degree in sports and event management. So it's one of the degrees we have. It's known as a dual sports and event management. It is a 4-year degree program because it's a double degree kind of setting between us, University Europe for Applied Sciences, and a prominent basketball club called Alba Berlin in Europe. They have a college over there. So it is like a partnership between both of us, both the university and Alba Berlin, to offer this degree program. So these are for like passionate basketball kinds of students where they feel like they want to learn behind the scenes behind basketball organizations. So that is only 4 years. The others are all 3 years. And our master's program ranges from 1 year, 1.5 years, and 2 years. Our MBA program is the only one that is guaranteed 1 year because it's a 1 year standalone program. Whereas the others, it's depending on your respective higher education background, your bachelor's background. So if at all you have a 4-year degree, yes, you can qualify for a 1 year program. If you have a 3-year degree, you may qualify for a 1 year program, but most of the time it's either 1.5 or 2 years. That is depending on your respective qualifications in which you have and provide to us, and the admission side will decide to you.
Okay. So, what about the part-time job, Ivan? What about part-time
Okay,
job in Germany? Is it easy for international students to find a part-time job in
I would,
you know in
yep.
cities?
I would say that as a country that is actually opening up for more and more internationals to come in, international students to come in for the matter, and also opening up priorly for more and more professionals to come in, because the history behind this is that Germany is an aging market, so they would need younger generation or younger people or younger workforce to come in. So there are many openings, particularly in relative fields in the tech side, where they need a lot of interns to come in, or they need a lot of part-timers to come in, the admin side as well, the corporate side. So there are relatively a number of part-time openings which are all across Germany, and in the cities we are based at as well, which are quite good for students to secure something like to work part-time. But the thing is, again, when it comes to this, it's a little bit tricky because some students are very hands-on. They would definitely search for the part-time on their own. They'll go out, they'll go all out, they search for it, and then they secure something. So of course you can work in the conventional side, like the food and beverage industry, or the other relative industry, or hospitality industry for the matter, and so forth. On average, you would get between 8 to 14 euros an hour, and the hours is dependent on you and your employer again, because ideally the regulation mentions that you can work either 120 full days per year, 120 full days per year, or 240 half days per year. So it's not as standardized to how, for example, Australia were to say 20 hours a week flat. So if you do the math, yes, it's almost similar, but it's between you and your employer again. So you can work more hours with it this week, less hours the next week, or that's the arrangement between both. So the flexibility is already there. Yes, there are many opportunities. It is not hard to secure a part-time job. At the same time, the students would need to do a little bit of the due diligence. They just need to be a little bit proactive, so to say, to source on your own. Just because there are few part-time jobs that mention that, hey, no, we are full, we can't actually recruit you. That doesn't mean that there aren't other opportunities over there. They are all presently there, and it's relatively growing. So it's exciting times for international students actually to come over to study in Germany for the matter in the next coming years or the decade.
Uh, okay, what about scholarship? Do you have any scholarship that you offer to students during their admission process, uh, especially for the international student?
Yes, absolutely.
Scholarship is one of the questions that everybody wants to know
Yep,
the answer.
yep. Yes, we do. So, yep, scholarship is primarily available for students to actually acquire. All students would actually get a 10% scholarship for each of the programs for the first year tuition free. That is something which we like to provide as a gesture. And the scholarships can go up to 25 to 30% as well. How do they go about is very much dependent on your CGPA. That's one. And then, if at all you are studying within the university itself, in campus, if you do relatively well on a semester to semester basis, if you maintain the required marks and you maintain the required CGPA, at the same time, you're very active in certain activities which are coordinated by the university. This provides the opportunity for the university to give you an additional scholarship as well. So it goes back to the student in terms of how they go about in their relative journey studying with us. That's one way to acquire the scholarship. Secondly, as well, is that we have over in Germany, ideally, you have a number of scholarship providers, both in the public side and the private sector as well. So the reasoning behind this is that they would provide students either on a monthly allowance or they can cover the cost of the tuition on a semester basis or full scholarship too. So this is something where it's very much open. Students can actually apply from their home country itself. They just need to give the required qualification, and they have certain kinds of terms and conditions in which students will need to meet. If the students meet all these requirements, fantastic, they can get those qualifications to cover either their living fees on a monthly basis or cover their semesters basis as well. In fact, to add on to the scholarship side, we have seen that there's been quite a trend, so to speak, in the Indonesian market, because we understand that there are some students who relatively are interested to move forward in terms of acquiring the MBA once they completed the undergraduate program. Since our MBA is pretty flexible, it's 1 year and it's a German MBA, it carries a huge value. And at the same time, we understand that the foundation year program, the student college, is a relatively important qualification to prepare students for the public university journey. Since we do understand that this has been the demand in the market itself, in Indonesia, we actually offer a flat 25% scholarship for all students for this.
Okay, when you talk about 10% goes up to 25, 30%, I think when I look at the website, your average tuition fee annually would be around 12,000 euro, is it? Annually?
So
Per
yes,
annum.
yes. So for the business and undergraduate side, it will be 10,000 euros on a with the scholarship. So on an annual basis, with the arts and design side, is going to be probably about 10,500 to 11,000 euros around that figure on a yearly basis. And within the postgraduate side, since the MBA is a stand-alone program, is flat at 17,500 euros. With the scholarship, it will be probably about 13,000 euros around that figure. And for the other relative programs, it ranges from 11 to 12,000, as you see, for the postgraduate programs, except for the MBA.
Okay, okay. So, what about clubs and communities, Ivan, in the university? Other than studying, what do students usually do in their spare time?
Right. So coming from like an international student experience, right, over in Germany, like the cities in which we are based at, there are many happenings going on. Like a lot, like for instance, where we are based in Hamburg, it's really a fantastic city for students to experience and to study over there, because every week, if not every day, they'll be having like activities not in the university but outside. There are a number of communities, student communities, sporting communities as well, which is relatively big over in Germany. because sports is like something they value so much. So at the same time, there are traditional kind of happenings and events we usually have on a weekly, if not on a monthly basis. So all the time, students will be, let's just say, they have the opportunity to be occupied with a lot of entertainment, so to speak. Entertainment has in like a lot of these events happening. So if they like to take a break from studying, they can actually just participate, join the events, enjoy the events and so forth. Community wise, yes, we have that in the university itself. We do have our respective communities or respective clubs, so to speak. And on the outside part, yes, they do have respective communities for students to join in as well. So it's not just in Hamburg, but also in Berlin, Iserlohn, and also Potsdam as well, and other relevant cities across Germany too. So it's quite interesting for an international student to actually like go in, pursue their studies, and also enjoy a number of kinds of happenings and festivities, so to speak, which are always up and going on a weekly basis. And the culture is such that it's very safe for all international students. Absolutely safe. Germans, as a society, they're pretty much very individual kind of people. They're friendly, but they are very much, they would like to focus on your end. They wouldn't want to disturb others as well. So they value that kind of privacy. So students would actually have that kind of exposure, so to speak. And at the same time, they will have the country's exposure in terms of whatever is being done on a weekly or a monthly basis. So yeah, students can actually enjoy and really actually like have a great time whilst also getting a great education.
Cool. Thank you, Ivan. What about the graduate work visa? I mean, you were saying that your postgraduate is between 1 to 2 years, one and a half, and 2 years. Do you have any limitation of study when students can then get the graduate visa, or any students who study for 1 year can still get a graduate work visa?
So once they study for 1 year, or once they study for any of our programs, they are given the opportunity for the post-study work visa for 18 months. So they can actually reside in the country for another 1.5 years to source out for any opportunities to secure a full-time role if they want to, or they like to stay in the country for that matter. It is entirely up to them as well. Of course, it depends on the students. Some have relative long-term plans to secure like a PR. Some have plans where they want to secure the full-time job for the experience. This is where the post-study work visa comes in. Again, once you completed your studies, either 3 years undergraduate or like 1 year master's program, 1.5 years or 2 years, you have the post-study work visa opportunity for 18 months. They
Okay.
can actually, yeah, apply for it.
Okay, cool. Teman-teman AECC, I would just like to remind you that if you do have any other questions, please type your question in the comment box, and then we'll attend to it. What the difference between, from Jessica, what is the difference between studying private and public university in Germany in terms of facilities, opportunity, and the other important things? Thanks, Jessica, for the question. Over to you,
Yep,
Ivan.
that's a great question coming from Jessica. So ideally, just to share on how German's education system works, basically, like over in Indonesia, for instance, right? We finish our high school at year 12. Am I correct? So it's considerably like sekolah menengah atas, they finish at the 18th, at 18 years also, meaning it will be at year 12. We finish at 18. So in Germany, the high school finish at the 13th year. So since they finish at the 13th year, in order to qualify for the public university, you would need a 13th year qualification. So with a year 12 qualification, we are talking about the high school qualification, which you have, that you can actually apply for any universities. They will accept you because you can directly enroll into a degree program. But Germany does not accept that in the public sector. Why? Because they require a 13-year qualification. And the reason behind 13 year, because their high school is for 13 years. So this is where the gaps for international students comes in. Only limited universities accept certain 13-year qualifications like A levels or IB. And that you will need to ensure that your marks are in par. You need to ensure that you have the relative kinds of subjects in which you have done in order to qualify. So this is a challenge for international students. It is still possible, but you will be actually competing with a number of international students coming from different parts of the world to actually secure a spot over there, because there are hundreds of students which are primarily studying over in the university itself, and the 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 spots are limited for international students. So some universities like 5%, 10%, some is like 15, 20%, depending very much on the universities in the public sector. So this is where the public sector has one kind of a regulation in that place, right? And as for international student, if you really do want to join the public university, it's possible. Go through the student college, or if you have the relevant marks for your 13-year like A levels or IB, you still can actually just proceed if at all this public university gives you a seat. So there's a lot of procedures behind that. So this is where we, as a private university, right, we understand all of these issues or the challenges which are in place. This is why we offer the student college on our end in order to provide the opportunity for students to secure at least a spot in any of the public universities, or we do work with two public universities to guarantee at least a spot for our students that go through our foundation year. So because of that, also the private sector has been growing in terms of international students coming in. And to actually manage in a public university, these are real statistics. About 30% of undergraduate students were to drop out. So similarly to the postgraduate side as well. The reason because is the traditional methods of teaching over in the public sector is still there. Is very much international student on your own. Unlike the private side, there are many supporting factors where students can actually get and receive so that they can pass their semesters in the program as well. These are not actually provided. These are not provided within the traditional method of teaching over in the public universities in Germany. But in terms of the facilities over there, yes, they are pretty much, they do have the respective conventional facilities or how you see universities do have. They have that already. And the thing is, if you're a student that you already know that you want to at least get a pure German degree and you will need the support in order to succeed, right? This is where University of Europe for Applied Sciences were to come in, because even in the private sector as well, we need to be mindful that there are a number of campuses across which are in Germany, but they are not a pure German university. They come from different parts of the world, like from the UK, Italy, the US, and so forth. So we, University of Europe for Applied Sciences, is a state accredited university in Germany. This means that it carries huge value. The degree in which we offer is equivalent to the degree in terms of a public university was to offer. So it's like the quality is already there. And that's just the key differences between the private side and the public side. More importantly, there are a couple more major differences. Number one is that the public side, 95% of the programs are taught in German. You would need to actually learn the language. So it's required. But over at UE, for instance, or over in some private universities, German language is not required. The language is not required. You can study in English. So our entry requirement, you will learn the programs because they're all taught in English. There are certain programs, relatively a few are taught in German as well. Our foundation year are taught in English and German because it will decide on what or which language you will learn in your undergraduate journey once you completed the foundation year. But overall, our undergraduate and postgraduate programs, we teach in English, which is a good thing. And at the same time, since we are a little bit unique, we are a little bit special, we accept students coming from year 12 to directly enroll into our bachelor's program. So in this case, we do not need a 13th year. Other universities like the public side, all public universities require 13 year, and some private universities also require 13 year. We, on the other end, we only require 12 year qualification, in which we accept high school students coming from Indonesia, sekolah menengah atas, is sufficient for us to accept to enroll into our undergraduate program. So those are the key differences. Hope that answers the question.
Right. Yes. Okay. How to get a letter of acceptance from university and supervisor for master degree? That's thank you, Amban, for
Oh,
the questions.
all right. So in order to get the admissions letter or the letter acceptance, it goes to the application procedure as well. Once you're provided the required documentations, and once you applied with us, we will provide you the offer letter, and then you will need to move forward in terms of making a reservation fee. Once the reservation fee is made, is part of the tuition fees, do not worry. Once the reservation fee is made already, we will provide you the admissions letter. In this case, letter of acceptance. And along with the letter of acceptance, we do offer the visa support letter as well. Do not worry about the visa over in Germany for Indonesian students because it's very much open again. They're welcoming students come over to study. So there shouldn't be any issues. But as the university side, we have the responsibility to provide the acceptance letter at the same time the visa support letter. That's what we do. We will provide that once you have provided us the relative documents and make the reservation fees. And then in our programs, our master's programs, our university is such that when you were to coordinate the postgraduate, you will be assigned to, you can actually approach any of the professors if you want to and all, but during thesis wise, or definitely you'll be assigned to a supervisor, or you would need to actually approach to a supervisor as well. So this is how you go about. And it's fantastic that to know that the professors in the university itself, they have a minimum 15, 20 years or if not more working experience, right? You don't just get to learn about, how do you just finish and submit the thesis, but you also get to learn about practicalities out there. At the same time, they do have maybe networks to assist you to source for probably roles or career opportunities later on. So this is something in which we practice within the university itself.
Another question from the IG. From Technology, how's the post-study work opportunity there? How many years we can work full time after graduation? Well, yeah.
All
I
right.
mean,
So
you talk about it.
all right, sure. No worries. So, yes, so after you have completed your studies over in Germany, you have the opportunity to attain a post study work visa. You just have to apply for it. The duration of the post study work visa is 18 months. That is 1.5 years. So, again, you need to complete the program and then apply for the post study work visa. So, 1.5 years. And how many years we can work full time after graduation? Actually, you can work part time and then you can graduate. And then once you're graduated, you can actually apply for full time. And then when you apply for full time, you get a full time job and then you can continuously work there. And it's up to you. Some will work for years and years, some will work for a few years, and then they come back over, depending on the student's perspective, so to speak. Yes, so to address it, post study work visa is available 18 months after graduation, and you can work full time after graduation if at all you work part time before or you're sourcing for a job later on. You have 18 months to secure a full time job indirectly with the post study work visa.
Okay, another question from Fancy. For long-term plan, how's the possibility for international students to apply for permanent residency in Germany? How does it work in Germany?
All right. Okay. So, in order to, it's like a standard regulations in respective countries across as well, including Germany. In order to acquire a position as a PR, in order to get a PR, ideally you will need to stay for 5 years. And in order to stay for 5 years, over in Germany, it works this way. So, in the long term side, if you were to study for a year, it counts as 6 months for while applying for a PR. If you work for a year, it counts as 1 year. So in total, you need 5 years. So since you need 5 years, right, For example, we take a scenario, if you study for 3 years in Germany, it's equivalent to 1.5 years out of 5 years in which you will need to actually secure the PR. So you need 5 years again, but you get 1.5 years out of 3 years you study in Germany because you are studying. Since you are studying, you are in your higher education, it counts as 6 months per year, zero point 0.5. If you're working, then you're working, it counts as 1 full year. So 3 years basically is 1.5. If at all you do the masters, it becomes 2 years. If at all you do a 1 year masters or 2 years masters, all right, we take 2 years masters, 3 years of undergraduate and 2 years of masters. In total is actually is basically 2.5 years, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, 2.5 years. 2.5 years because of 5 years education, right? Including your undergraduate and postgraduate. Postgraduate meaning 2 years post 2 years masters, ideally. So you just need another 2.5 years for working experience, and then you get to 5 years. And then when you get to 5 years, that's where you can apply for PR, provided that you met certain requirements. And the requirements we have to go, it, it changes on a yearly basis, unfortunately. So you have to see on that respective time how do you go about. But the general idea is like this, how it works. Or once you completed your undergraduate, you can actually, or if at all you have a bachelor's, you want to do a postgraduate, you can do so. Just that you just need to mindful. If you study, it's 0.5 years. If you work full time, it's 1 year. That's all. And then you can calculate.
And the post-study work visa is 18 months work. Post-study work visa will be calculated as 1.5 years as well.
So if the moment you started working after graduation, then it can be considered counted as well. So because graduation wise, I mean, you need the full-time job. Post-study work visa, unfortunately, it does not count. You would need a full-time job. You would need to ensure that you have the respective employment letter from the organizations you're working with.
Okay, thank you. Interesting. I only have one more question, Ivan. You were saying that going from high school in Indonesia, you can go directly and do your bachelor in University of Europe. On top of your head, do you remember what grade are you looking at so that students can do a direct entry sort of thing?
So with a 12-year qualification, and if your grades are okay, which are relatively good or in the medium scale, we accept them directly to our undergraduate programs. Do not worry about those because we have the ability to do so, to accept the students. So no worries on that.
Okay, thank you so much. I think we're almost reaching the end of the session. There is one video that we'd like our friends of AECC to watch. And it's about a testimonial of a student, is it, Ivan?
So coming from UE side, it's just a couple of testimonials from a few students who are over there. That's about it.
Cool.
Hi, I'm Shana.
Assalamu alaikum.
My name is Yixin. I'm from China.
My name is Mohammed Fargan. I'm from Amsterdam.
And now I'm studying business here as an exchange student.
I chose Berlin as the place to challenge myself and to getting out of my comfort zone and just grow personally a little more.
I was like, okay, I could pick things that I already know, or I could pick things that are like a bit different in a way. I really wanted to develop as a designer, but also as a person.
Before I come here, I'm a little bit nervous about that, but after I come here, I just found that it's a pretty international place. I met so many nice teachers and also other exchange students from different countries.
When I came here and you met a lot of people with different perspectives in life and different faces.
I mean, if you want to go study abroad and just like doing your own thing, I think Berlin is an awesome place to do that. And the university gives you so many opportunities to get to know each other, especially when they have a lot of nationalities in here. You can learn a lot of each other, and the students in here, I found out, they're really helpful if you need something, if you need some inspiration or this and that. It's a good university to go to. Yeah.
When I'm walking in the supermarket or when I'm walking on the streets, people always ask me something because they think that I'm a German. And then I'm like, oh no, sorry, and then they're, oh sorry, and they're all in shock, and sometimes that is really funny.
And I just found that people here from Berlin, they're just so kind and makes me feel so good.
The university is a good place to come and study here in Berlin because they don't judge you in the way they may be doing in Amsterdam. They kind of have their own thing going on, and nobody's paying attention about your weirdness, what people could say. So it's a good way to like be yourself and just finding yourself in general. It's a good city to do that.
It opened my eyes for other perspectives and other departments within design. I really wanted to learn, and I'm definitely
Well, thank you so much, Ivan, for being in our platform this afternoon. I think it's a lot of insights that we can take from our session today. Friends at AECC Global, if you are interested to pursue your study at University of Europe for Applied Sciences, please contact your counselors. You will submit your documents to your counselors, and your counselors will assist for application through our portal with University of Europe for Applied Sciences. So it's a very easy process. We'll make sure that your application gets through and you'll get your letter of acceptance very soon. All right. Once again, thank you so much. I would just like to remind our friends at AECC Global to be with us again tomorrow in one-on-one session with UK University. So if you have not registered to attend our sessions tomorrow, please do contact your counselors and register yourself. Once again, thank you so much, Ivan. Have a great weekend and stay safe, everybody. Take care.
Thank you so much, Nani. Thank you so much, all. Absolute pleasure to be here. Take care. Stay safe. Speak soon.
Speak soon. Bye.
Hi, my name is Johannes Kiesler. I'm professor and head of master's program Innovation Design Management here at UE, University of Europe for Applied Sciences, in our new UE Innovation Hub in Potsdam. We're right next to super interesting companies like SAP, Volkswagen, Oracle, or Tesla. There's a unique ecosystem of innovation happening in Potsdam right now, which is pretty unique in Germany. We believe that this interdisciplinary way of working is the future, and UE will be part of that. And we're very excited to be here with our new campus, be part of it, and see you soon in Potsdam.
That's the thing about life. It can be unpredictable, but your dreams need not be. How far would you go to make your dreams come true? How close are you to reaching those goals set by you? While others focus on a new normal, you focus on a new beginning. Look around for what inspires you. Build your narrative. After all, it's your story to tell. Take a chance. Take a leap. Begin your study abroad journey with us.